The South African Broadcasting Corporation says it needs more time to help South Africans migrate from analog to digital TV. It says a large part of the population are still not ready to make the switch by Thursday's deadline. For more on the story, we're joined by Media Monitoring Africa Director William Bird. William, good evening to you. Thanks for your time today. Look, the Minister is not taking kindly, the Minister of Communications that is not taking kindly to this request by the SABC for a delay perhaps to June. Do you feel that their request is justified, or are you leaning towards the same position as the Minister, that a delay in the switch-off date will not make a difference ultimately for the SABC?
So look, to be clear, we are one of the parties that has intervened in the case against the Minister, asking that they do not switch off analog on the 31st of March, because it is an overtly anti-poor decision. It is a decision that will rob millions of the poorest of the people in South Africa of having access to any form of television. So for the SABC to be coming out and saying, yes, please delay this, this is an extraordinary thing. You know, it's an act of, it's quite an extraordinary thing that you've got the SABC that is saying to the Minister, please hold on, you know, we don't want to go ahead. And that says precisely that there's a big issue there. Now, we've heard from the evidence that was before the court that community television stand to lose a lot of money from their advertising. The SABC, as I understand it from the Minister's interview last week, has made similar claims about their advertising, and certainly in the court papers we saw about ETV talking about how much money that they are going to lose. So this is a lose-lose decision for just about everyone. The question we really have to be asking is why is government so set on this particular date, especially when, if you saw, there was an article just on the weekend talking about Centec issuing a tender for the next 3 years to go and install set-top boxes. These are the set-top boxes that government is meant to have installed before they switch off the signal. In other words, all of those people, they are envisaging a 3-year period where the poorest of the poor will have no access to television.
I'm going to come to the issue of why it is that government is pushing for the go-ahead in a moment. But just on this being what you describe as an anti-poor decision, as it stands, we understand only 165,000 of 2.9 million indigent households have been able to have their decoders installed. And again, we've seen hundreds of millions of rand go towards the installation of decoders. But over and over again, different contracts, it's still taking place at such a slow pace, William. Why do you think that is the case?
Look, you know, I mean, where we're all in agreement is that we need to make the transition. Where we're all in agreement is that we need to do this with haste and with speed, but you can't do it by leaving the most marginalized behind. You know, all you're doing is expanding that digital divide even further. So quite why it is, I don't know. Why is it that Centec put out the tender 5 days or 10 days ago instead of 3 years ago when they could have done this? No one knows. Maybe then the Minister was thinking of we had a different Minister and he or she was thinking of doing other things. I can't remember that far back which Minister it even was at the time, you know. But clearly it's like they've woken up to the fact that this needs to happen. What they are not clear on, and what government fails repeatedly to answer and address, is why they've fixed so hard on this 31st of March date. It's not like you're going to just suddenly solve everything by doing that. What we're asking for and what is reasonable, and as I understand it, what the SABC was suggesting is also that you need to delay this until you can get the overwhelming majority of people to have access to digital television. Then, by all means, everyone is in agreement. Switch it off. Move to digital. No one is saying that we shouldn't be doing that. It's just about the process and the how, you know. And again, it's like so many of these things, it's like government seems to want to shoot itself in the foot repeatedly.
Of course, William, the Communications Minister would be well within her rights to say they've been under enormous pressure for a number of years as well for the slow pace at which this process of moving from analog to digital has taken place. And it comes, of course, in the spirit of what we see as a move by the Ramaphosa administration to ease doing business in South Africa, and certainly issues around communication. Digital migration falls right somewhere there under, the auctioning of spectrum, and it seems to be part of a to-do list in as far as the urgency with which it's being dealt with.
Yeah, sure. And again, they're the ones that they must lay their blame solely, squarely, unambiguously at their door. This is government. This is about an abject failure by parliaments to do even half of its job in saying, why haven't you been doing this? For the last 15 years, we've been saying you need to provide everyone with fast, cost-effective, reliable broadband. That would have made the world of difference to South Africa in terms of being able to do business. The fact that they're kind of only waking up to it now, good. Yes, there should be urgency. There should be just about abject panic in the corridors of government to say, what the hell have we been doing for the last 15 years? So for the minister, she says, yes, this is a process that's been going on for years. Yes, it has. But for the last several years, there's not been this urgency to go around and install set-top boxes. If government had cared at a 1 iota about this before this, they would have been doing exactly those things. So the fact that they haven't been doing them, well, again, it's a failure by the state, it's a failure by parliament, it's a failure by ICASA to actually be going and demanding why these things haven't been happening. Why doesn't everyone have access to fast, cheap, effective broadband in South Africa? That's the question we should be asking government. So that instead of this, we're now forced to go to court to say, don't do this because millions of the poorest of the poor will be without television. So instead of, again, being able to work together, say, right, let's go, let's get this thing done and wrap it up as fast as we can. Let's get all these programs, get proper campaigns going for the last 3 years. Now we're saying, no, don't do this now, because if you do, millions of people are going to be cut off.
Media Monitoring Africa Director William Bird. Let's leave it there for now. And as you heard, this is a matter that is also before the courts.